The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. And hearing a crowd go by, he inquired what was happening. They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. He shouted, Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me. The people walking in front rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he kept calling out all the more, Son of David, have pity on me. Then Jesus stopped and ordered that he be brought to him. And when he came near, Jesus asked him, What do you want me to do for you? He replied, Lord, please let me see. Jesus told him, Have sight. Your faith has saved you. Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus, giving glory to God. When they saw this, all the people gave praise to God. The Gospel of the Lord. This healing of the blind man at Jericho is one of the key, very important passages and events in Jesus' life. It is told in one form or another in all four Gospels. But in all four, the setting is exactly the same. Jesus is passing through Jericho, one of the lowest spots on the earth, right near the Dead Sea, on his way up to Jerusalem, which is, of course, the city of the Lord's mountain, the dwelling of the Lord in his temple. Jesus is about to enter Jerusalem for the last week of his life. On his way, that was Palm Sunday, of course, that entry into Jerusalem. On his way, he passes through Jericho. Different Gospels have a few different events about that, but they all tell us about this blind man. In one Gospel, he is named Bartimaeus. So that shows, too, that he had some significance in the early church because they remembered his name. Here in Luke, he is unnamed. But there is one detail that is common to all of them also. There is resistance from his disciples. There is resistance from his disciples. They want to push him back. These are the followers of Jesus who are trying to prevent the man from approaching Jesus. Secondly, he doesn't pay attention to the disciples. He keeps shouting all the louder in his need. And what does he want? Lord, I want to see. And Jesus grants him the gift of sight. And the unique thing here is in almost all of the miracles of Jesus, the healings of Jesus, he sends the people away. He sends them back to their home. This one is recorded by all the evangelists as this healed blind man follows Jesus. And Jesus allows him to follow him. That is a message to us, that the very last thing that Jesus does before his final revelation in Jerusalem, that last week from Palm Sunday to his crucifixion, death, and resurrection, the last thing Jesus does is heal blindness. Jesus wants us to look at his sacrifice, his death and resurrection with new eyes, with eyes of understanding, with eyes that invite him to reveal to us the fullness of the meaning of death and resurrection. We cannot simply assume that because since our childhood we've believed in Jesus and God and all that stuff, and we come to church, that everything we don't need anymore. We are always in need of deeper understanding. So our prayer today really needs to be that of the blind beggar there. Lord, may I see you more clearly. May I follow you more closely.